China is going to land on the moon by 2030. That's not some distant dream. That's just a very few short years from now. A month after Jared Isaacman's withdrawal as potential NASA administrator, my friend Casey Hanmer, who used to work at NASA, published a blog titled "NASA is Worth Saving." In the essay, Casey argued that NASA, despite its problems, still represents something we Americans shouldn't give up on. Casey worked at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab for 4 years, developing software for passive GPS-based radar systems used to study Earth and the Moon. As a result, Casey's intimately familiar with NASA's bureaucracy and its fail points, so when he calls NASA out, he speaks from having walked the corridors and from working directly in the agency. So that's what this video is all about. How can we save NASA? And should we?
But now we're in a situation where NASA, whose only purpose is to safeguard US strategic interests in space, is going to lose badly a war to put astronauts on the moon before China does, whose intentions in this matter have been the opposite of secret since 2006. It is no longer possible to fix this gently. It is no longer possible to fix this with an update of a couple of rules here and there. Right? It's going to need extremely drastic surgery to save the patient at this point. It is important that the United States essentially keep Chinese extraterritorial ambitions in their place. And that's not because Chinese are Chinese people, it's because the Chinese people are ruled by autocratic dictatorship that stomps on the face of human freedom and decency. We should be open and honest about that fact. And it's just as pressing as the Soviets flew Sputnik. And we realize we're about to get stomped here by a largely medieval run serfdom.
So how did we get here?
NASA is obviously a storied institution, and it has many glorious successes and some pretty gut-wrenching failures in its past. It's a place I worked for 4 years. I regard myself as privileged and honored to have worked there, to be part of that story. Pretty much everyone in the space community, I was enormously hopeful about Jared Isaacman's nomination as NASA administrator, because like most people in the space community, I was kind of painfully aware of the existential problems facing NASA in its current incarnation. And you can ask yourself the question, what would it take for the United States to have US astronauts on the moon by 2030? NASA or no NASA? Quite a long series of miracles would have to occur. That's kind of strange. It's been more than 50 years since we went the first time. It doesn't seem we're any better at it than we were before. If anything, we're worse. They retired the space shuttle more than 10 years ago, and they haven't launched people into space on a NASA-built spacecraft since. I think most taxpayers do expect that $20 billion a year should buy them a space program that defends their interests in space. And previously, you could kind of wave your hands and say, well, it doesn't matter all that much. It's only $20 billion a year. It's not as important as the war in Iraq. It's not as important as reforming Medicare or whatever.
China's National Space Administration, the CNSA, has pledged to land on the moon by 2030. And in my opinion, their progress supports that timeline. They've been running a very successful space program for a long time, and their Long March 10 rocket is making incredible progress. Meanwhile, NASA's SLS program, the program meant to take us back to the moon, is years behind schedule, tens of billions of dollars over budget, and doesn't work properly. NASA